Hello.
Welcome to the Mr. and Mrs. in Business podcast. I'm Chris,
And I'm Helen.
and we are, for those who don't know us, husband and wife for our sins, and we
Mm,
run multiple businesses together.
we do.
And on this podcast, we talk about business, family, the highs, the lows. We talk about the truth,
Mm,
the good stuff, the bad stuff,
the ugly.
the ugly.
Mm.
Now, you might pick up, if you're watching this, a little bit of tension between me and Helen.
Oh, just tell the world.
If I'm going to, if you listen, you might not pick it up. If you watch, I think you might see some tension. So basically, my lovely wife has spent the last 45 minutes, or it certainly feels like 45 minutes,
It was
trying to get ready for a podcast.
it was not 45 minutes. It wasn't.
She's looking at the clock now to
Yeah,
confirm the
it
time.
was 15 minutes.
And if you're watching, notice the face change. It's gone
Mm.
from to
It's the public smile. Don't let everybody else know you're angry at them, but he knows damn well you are,
yep,
darling.
darling. So yes, there's a bit of tension today, which may come through, may not. And I also said to Helen that I feel fatter today than normal.
Mm.
And
Well,
she
I'm not
said,
going to comment.
"You don't look any fatter than a whale normally does." I mean, how flipping nice is that? Hey,
Again,
no wonder I have all these insecurities.
it's a damn good job I'm perfect, isn't
Yeah.
it?
And then she said, "Are you wearing that?" I mean, you know, I think this should just be an argument session, really, not a podcast. I'm not in the mood to talk to you, to be honest.
Oh, that's fine. Ditto.
This is the reality of working with your partner, isn't it? Is
The
that if it was
commitment.
anyone else, you'd be like, "Fuck off, I'm going home," and you walk off, you
We'd
walk
just be
out.
like, I'm ill, but
But now we've got to do this. For fuck's sakes, really?
oh, we'll get through it, darling.
I think we should do a breathing exercise just to get us going. In. You've got off on your own merry way. In. Hold. 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 I'm going to do it so she passes out and then I can do it
Yeah.
on
There you go.
my own.
Sounds about right.
Isn't it funny though how some days you feel fatter than others? Like you said, you did start to be fair by saying you don't look it.
Yes, I
Uh,
did. Thank you.
Yeah, but
Yes.
I wanted to tell the full story and I did, didn't I?
Yeah, later on.
But yeah, some days you just feel
Oh,
fatter than you are.
yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, that's an absolute for women because of different times of the month.
I
So
look a bit of a mess today
you got.
because, my hair needs a do. My beard needs a trim.
Well, I didn't say anything.
You said about everything else. Don't know
Well,
why you left that
I
off.
stopped at that part.
Yeah.
So I was going to say, don't your hair need
What?
cutting? Oh, and your face, but
Yeah.
I didn't go there.
As my blood vessels started going in the side of my head.
Yeah, I didn't go there.
Yeah, it's been a bit rushed today, hasn't it?
It has. We've both had, when you just have a day where you're just too busy doing silly stuff that is not on your to-do list. Everybody needs you, different things here and there and everywhere, and you just don't get your shit done.
Yeah, I feel
It's
like
been a day like that for you and me today, hasn't it?
yeah, I feel like I have this phrase where I say when everyone's always asking me loads of questions, I have this phrase where I say everyone wants their pound of flesh out of me today, and I really feel like that today.
You're in demand today.
I'm in demand, yeah, but not in a good way.
Not in a
And
popular way.
it's tricky, isn't it? Because you try and moving away from day-to-day stuff and put the systems and processes in place, but it obviously doesn't all happen overnight. But yeah, it's been a hectic day. And then literally it was about, well, to be brutally honest, I'd forgotten I knew this morning we were filming, but by the time it came to this afternoon, I'd forgotten all about it. And then you said, I'm going to need 15 minutes to get ready. I was like, oh, fuck.
Thank you. 15, not 45.
No, 15 minutes before it was good. Hold on.
Right.
We normally go live at 3. So we normally start getting ready at 1:45. I think it was, to be specific, 2:42 you started getting ready. And it was 3:12. So 12 minutes past 3 when you actually sat down. And then you proceeded to sit there for 5 minutes, fanny arsing with your hair. Oh.
Well, it hasn't gotten how I wanted to do it. It's been looking very flat the last few weeks, and I wanted a bit of volume.
Volume. I wonder if this is awkward for people listening and watching and hearing us bicker, or are they just like, fucking, I want more of this? It's like a Big Brother experiment.
Well, I'm just going to smile and
Smile.
nod.
No. So, today's
At
topic.
least I did my hair.
Bitch.
At least I tried.
Well, I tried, but I gave up years ago. Well, luckily, you still have some.
I'm very lucky, yeah.
Others are going a bit thin on top.
growing old gracefully.
Well, yeah, you see, I don't wanna be one of those blokes that just
Has the
covers it
comb
up.
over.
Yeah, my granddad had one
No.
of those. He looked like a
No, mine
pillock.
did as well, bless him.
Honestly, he put his
Mm.
flipping he had about 6 strands of hair
Yeah,
that were
Homer Simpson
as long
style.
yeah,
Mm.
that literally and he'd brush it in the morning,
Mm.
and then he'd put his flat cap on. What the fuck are you doing? Anyway, you can tell I'm in a bit of
Oh,
an anxious mood. Not anxious mood, but a stressed mood today because
mm.
I'm swearing a lot
You
more than
are.
normal.
Come on, rein it
Yeah,
in.
yeah. Put away the swear jar.
Mm. Pretend our son is here.
Yeah, we don't do it in front of him, do we?
No, I never thought I'd ever be able to switch off from swearing when we had a child,
Mm.
but somehow you do.
Well,
After they're
not
like
everybody.
6 months, because they don't know what you're saying at 6 months.
Not everybody. I mean, I'll walk around the supermarket sometimes, and there's these parents with 6 kids
Oh,
in tow,
no.
like 4 up to the age of 6, saying, "You fucking arsehole, come here, you
Oh,
little bitch," and
no.
all
Oh, it's
sorts. It's like,
awful,
bloody
isn't
hell.
it?
But takes all sorts, I suppose.
I did just mean you and I have managed to not
Yeah,
swear in front. I mean, don't get me wrong, we all have our slip-ups, and I get told off now by
good,
him,
rightly so.
but he's in the car with me a lot, and that's a very stressful time,
Helen,
being in the
being with
car.
you is just a stressful time.
Oh, this is really not going. It's not sitting.
Right. So, today's podcast.
Mm,
We were having a conversation in the morning, as we do, and we actually said
mm.
we should start filming our podcasts first
In the
thing in the morning
Yeah,
because we just start
shall
talking,
we?
pardon my French, shit.
Mm,
And then we're like, no, no, stop, stop, stop. This will be a really good podcast episode. And we were
mm,
like, should we just film it in the morning? Like, I'm there in my dressing gown. You come down in your
yeah,
pajamas with our cups of tea, totally unready. But
yeah,
obviously, we're not going to do that because but actually, if we weren't filming, we could do that, couldn't we?
yeah.
But because we're
I'll just pop
idiots,
pop a filter on my face. All these AI filters you can get these
well,
days.
obviously, I don't need
You
to
can
worry,
pop
do
one
I?
on as you as well.
Those I'm fat, bald, I don't know how to dress. I
Moody,
probably look better the first thing in the morning. Get worse as the day goes on.
don't we all?
um,
But
so yeah,
yeah,
we were
yeah, no, we
talking.
do. We do. Well, we come up, we sit together for an hour each morning, don't we? Well, we only have 2 hot drinks.
No, we don't.
Oh,
We
here we
used to.
go.
We used to.
Mm. Oh, they're all coming. Yeah, that hour,
I'm really
okay?
enjoying this session, actually.
That hour has
Yeah.
been reduced to 30 minutes
Mm,
because I
has it?
CBA.
Has it?
Do you know what CBA means?
Can't be
Oh!
asked. Yes, I do. Actually, I just made that up now, and thank God it came out right. Otherwise, I'd look like real stupid.
Uh,
Um, hey, I don't
mm.
think it is quite 30 minutes anymore.
Well,
Because I stay late at home now, it becomes 30
yeah,
minutes, and you make me late for
true.
work every day.
Because you want to be with me
Anyhow,
so
anywho,
badly.
so we've been watching a few things recently, haven't we? Like true
Mm.
stories,
Yes, we love a
and
true story.
there's been a few things in common. There's like a common thread between them all, which has been
Yeah.
they've almost been like business orientated. There might not have been. I mean,
It's their success and the story of how they've got there, but they've often got there through the wrong path
right?
because
Don't
they've
give too much
pulled
away
the
for
wool
this.
over your eyes or
Right?
something.
Yeah. So, and then it got us talking about entrepreneurship
Yeah.
and what we think entrepreneurship is. Is it
Mm,
different? Is your
mm,
version different to my
mm,
version? What's the real version?
mm,
And how do we cope with that and with the realities
mm.
of it? So we thought
Yeah.
it'd be good today just to quickly talk about entrepreneurship and what it means to each other. So, do you
Mm.
want? Well, you've actually researched
Well, I
the
just Googled. I wanted to know what the factual meaning of an entrepreneur was.
go,
So, um,
and you
an
didn't even learn it, did you?
an entrepreneur is a person who sets up a
Or
business.
multiple businesses.
I'm talking. A person. I'll start
Go
again.
on then,
A person
if you
who's
must.
deep breath. A person who sets up a business or businesses taking on financial risk in the hope of profit. Many entrepreneurs see potential in this market.
Right.
Finished.
Thank you. So, well, actually, you put a post up on LinkedIn this morning, actually, as well, didn't you? Because you were saying we were
Yeah,
discussing
yeah,
this,
yeah,
and we
yeah.
had
Mm.
one of our lovely customers, or what I noticed, and one of them, I'm sure there was lots of others, but one of the first ones I noticed was Marissa at Safety Forward. So,
Yeah.
hey, Marissa, if you're watching this,
Mm.
hopefully you are.
Mm.
Looking at you.
Marissa.
Uh,
That's
and she had a
mm.
slightly different view on what an entrepreneur is as well to what ours was.
Well,
So,
she, sh
Well, before we say Marissa's, I'm probably going this about
Mm.
arse about tit about face, whatever the bloody saying is. I'm doing one of yours here. What's your definition, or what do you see as an entrepreneur? Because you say to me,
Mm.
I think you think I'm an entrepreneur, and I don't.
Yeah.
So, what do you think an entrepreneur is?
Yeah, I think it's someone who thinks out of the ordinary, and thinks of different ways that haven't been done before. And if they're given a problem, they don't fall to pieces. They are not excited, but they're enthusiastic about a challenge, and they love a challenge and they thrive from it. Um, and that's what I think you are. And I think you've displayed that throughout your career and throughout the different businesses that you've ran. So for me, I think you are an entrepreneur, and I think some people in life are just naturally entrepreneurs. I do think now that you can teach it and learn it and become it more. Maybe you have find a real passion for something, and that true passion is what really drives you to find answers to things. Um, you're looking at me like you want me to shut up now.
No, 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 no sorry, no, I'm genuinely interested. Sorry.
Um, so
No, we're past all that now. I love you again.
oh, okay,
Yeah.
super. Um, so uh, so yeah, that's what I see you as an entrepreneur. But um, I totally appreciate the fact that you don't like being called an entrepreneur because um, you think that you have to be multimillionaire for it. But for me, some multimillionaires aren't necessarily there because of their own straight talent sometimes. Sometimes
Okay.
they've been handed money and it's been much easier and they've not had that drive. And I thought it was really interesting. We always watch A Dragon's Den together and with our son because we want to instill in him from a young age to think out of the box, to think, oh, well, this is the career I want. Let's see if I can like pave a path for that. Or there isn't a job that you can do this in, but I wonder if I could do X, Y, Z to make one. Just allowing you to think out of the box for what you would like to do.
Hmm.
Not that I expect him to know what he wants to do, even as an adult, 'cause not everybody does. But uh, I've forgotten my path.
I knew you had. I knew you had. I saw it coming, and I was going to help you. Thought, no, no, the way you spoke to me earlier. No, I'm going to let you drown.
Of course you did. Let me think then. Let me have a minute. Yeah, so in Dragon's Den, can we play some lift music right now?
Yeah, well, if this was normal, if we did this like normal people, we'd just cut this and start again. You wouldn't have a bloody Scooby Doo, but because we just
Oh, I'd
like
have a
to do
script.
it, yeah, but because we like to do it off the cuff and in like almost like a live situation, you're going to see it all. The awkward moment of Helen thinking, "Oh God, what was I saying?"
Um, but yeah, ultimately, like, so I just want to say the name of that program, that Netflix series that we were watching last week, Apple Cider Vinegar.
Right.
It is so fantastic. It's not necessarily and it is based on a true story. Um, but yeah, the bottom line is tenacity, isn't it? The people that seem to succeed, they're not afraid of hearing no. Um, Another example that I've heard someone explain an entrepreneur is they're not afraid to hear no, and I think that's a huge thing.
Hmm.
And to hear that's not been done before, because I always remember um, it was over 15 years ago. You and I went because I wanted to set up a new business because I had my own business doing fashion and
Hmm.
I had my own fashion label. And I set that up from scratch, did all the design, making and selling across boutiques across the country. Set that all up myself, but I had your support. Um, and, a totally different mindset to what I had now then, but you're always learning from
Hmm.
that. Um, and It yeah, the tenacity is totally what can just get you through, and, like, we went with a business idea. We wanted to have a three-level business where it was a hair salon on one, a beautician on the other, and a cafe on the top,
Hmm.
and then, like, a spa on the top of that, and we went with this business idea. I always remember it was a huge table with, like, 5 business people around us. I can't remember the name of the place that we went to, but we
No.
gave the idea and they said, "But that's never been done before, so we don't think it's gonna succeed."
Yeah.
And I always remembered that answer, and I just thought, "Well, yeah, that's stupid of me. Why would we think of that idea? It has never been done before." And now, years later, there's loads of places similar to that, and
Yeah.
it's so unique and it's fantastic, and I'd love to go to them myself. Um, but it just shows, like, if you haven't got that, I don't know, courage, like thick skin, um, to just keep going. And like actors, they say that they always get no's, but you've just got to keep going and not be afraid of the no, you know?
That's Helen's phone ringing, by the way. That's
It's
why
our
she looked
it's
down
our son.
awkwardly. um, so,
So what do you see?
oh, thank you.
What
I
do
can
you
talk now.
think is
Just going to keep on dropping these little dicks. Um, well, it I the company I used to work at a few years ago, we used to go around solving problems in other departments and making their contracts better and stuff. And one of the phrases that I hated, and I still hate today,
mm,
is, "Oh no, we've never done it that way. We can't do it that way." It's
mm,
like, what? I try.
mm,
It's almost like makes my blood boil. It's not what you mean. Just
mm,
because it's not been done that way before, that does not mean
mm,
it's not a better way to do something. So,
yeah.
um, but to me, entrepreneurship
Entrepreneur.
entrepreneurship is a person who makes a change for the masses, and it doesn't
Mm,
always have to be directly associated to money so much, but
mm,
more about they make a change for the masses. We're not just talking here about making a
mm,
change for tens, but I'm talking millions of people. So
mm,
I look at someone like Elon Musk. Okay,
mm,
not necessarily I agree with all his beliefs and the way he does things, that sort of stuff. Although I think he's a very intelligent fella,
mm,
um, but he to me is an entrepreneur.
mm.
Uh, Mark Zuckerberg, exactly the same. I'm not saying I agree with all his beliefs and his
Yeah.
opinions, but again, to me, he's an entrepreneur. They have
Mm,
created something that has made the world a better place. Now, I'm not saying Facebook is a better place because I
yeah.
think social media has a lot of its downfalls as well. But when it first started, at least, that's what
Yeah.
it was. It connected people in a way that people had
Mm,
never been connected before. So
mm,
it was life changing, right?
mm,
To think 30 years ago, we never had social media. Now
mm.
we use it all day, every day.
Yeah.
And the real start of that was Facebook, because I know we had MySpace, but it was
MySpace.
kind of just taking off. Facebook came along and
Mm,
totally rewrote the rules, really.
mm,
So that's what an entrepreneur is to me. And I don't
mm,
necessarily like the word entrepreneur either.
mm,
I feel like it's a word that is just thrown about far too easily. So
mm,
I could have just set up a business tomorrow
mm,
with no experience, and I'm an entrepreneur.
mm,
So I think it's because everybody likes to call themselves an entrepreneur now.
mm,
That's maybe the reason why I don't like the word, and
mm,
why I don't see myself as an entrepreneur. I don't know, but I don't see myself as an entrepreneur because, as I say, I don't feel like I've done something that changes the world for the better.
mm. But the definition of it is just a
I
business
know it is.
owner.
And it's and then,
Mm,
Marissa at Safety Forward, she
yeah.
said I can't remember, forgive me if I get this wrong, Marissa, but I think it was along the lines of, it makes you think of, like, Rolexes and, flash
Yeah.
cars and that kind of
Mm,
thing. So
mm,
it's weird, isn't it? Because, there's a meaning for a
mm,
word, and yet
mm.
we all have our own meaning for it as well that's
Yeah.
different to
But she
what the
doesn't
actual
like to
meaning
call
is.
herself an entrepreneur either.
No.
But I mean, I see her as an aspirational businesswoman. You know, I would, I love having her as a friend and working with her in business. And I think her team are really lucky to work with her
Mhm,
because I think she can teach them a lot about life and business.
mhm.
And that's inspiring. So I guess it's whether you see entrepreneurs as inspiring as well. Um, so yeah, I do think a lot of people who set up a little sideline business are flippantly, for me, calling themselves an entrepreneur. But I guess on paper, that's what everybody that's what it
Well, the
officially
definition, they're
is.
right. The
So
definition by
so
the
yeah, they are right. But your definition of an entrepreneur for me is a unicorn. I mean,
mm,
Elon Musk and m- you know, I'm not going to be able to say his
Mark Zuckerberg.
Mark Zuckerberg. Um, Like, they are unicorns, aren't they?
Yeah.
Like, yes, they have made massive changes, whether they're good or bad. Um, that doesn't happen that often, you know?
I feel like it
So,
happens more often now than it did
yeah, it
50 years
definitely
ago.
happens more often than it used to, for sure
Mm.
now. Um, but yeah, it's an interesting one because, yeah, you sort of get the ick, don't you,
I don't like it.
with the word
People will
entrepreneur.
sometimes introduce
Yeah,
themselves to me and say, "Oh, I'm Brian,
yeah.
I'm an entrepreneur."
Mm,
What?
mm,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what it
Yeah.
is.
I
I
think you've
don't
just
know
got
why.
different camps of how you see it, haven't you? It's quite interesting.
Yeah, and I think it's I
Mm,
think really the reason I don't like it is I think it's a word that's just flippantly used. It's
mm,
overused,
mm,
and I think actually it glorifies the whole business ownership
mm,
industry as a whole.
mm,
Um, I'm not saying that running a business is all bad. It's not. We've talked a lot about it on, on this
mm,
podcast, but
mm,
there are definitely highs and there are definitely lows.
mm,
But I think the word entrepreneurship it just gets glamorized and over
mm,
glamorized, and then for
mm,
me it just paints the wrong picture of what
mm,
running a business is actually about.
mm,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I used this definition. I think it was on this podcast actually a
mm,
few weeks or months back. That to me, if somebody asked me to explain what running a business is like,
mm,
excuse me, uh, it's like you are in a boat on your own without a sail, and all you've got is oars, and you're paddling up this wave because this wave's about to knock you off, right? So
mm,
you're climbing this wave and you're paddling so hard, day after day, pushing, pushing,
mm,
pushing, just about to give up, but you put that last final push in and
mm.
you get to the top. So you reach your goal because you've
Yeah.
been pushing that whole time.
Mm,
And then for a split second, it's like, hallelujah, look at this. This is incredible, amazing, pat on the back kind of thing.
mm,
And then literally a second later, you're coming down
mm, mm,
and that wave is turned around. And
mm,
as you're coming down, it's
mm,
going to smash you under, take you under, because
mm,
now you've realized that
mm,
you've reached that goal. Oh God, now I've got to deliver the work and all the
mm,
stuff I
mm,
promised.
mm,
How am I going to do that?
mm,
Because now I've got these other problems that it's presented. I'm running all
mm,
this work because
mm,
that's
mm,
normally what the
mm,
goal is. So I've challenged to get the goal, to get the extra orders. I've got them. Now I've got to deliver. And
mm,
now I'm being attacked from behind. And
mm,
then it
mm,
plateaus again
mm.
and we start
And you
all over again.
start again.
And to me, that is what running a business is like.
Mm,
You end up spending maybe 4 days panicking or stressing or
mm.
busting your balls for one day of, wow, this is amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
That to me,
Mm,
anyway, is what running a business is about. And I'm not saying,
mm,
if somebody asked me, I think you might have asked me, or somebody asked me the other day, would I do it
mm,
all over again?
mm.
Yeah, I probably would actually, yeah. But
Yeah. Mm,
that is the reality of running a business. So
mm,
entrepreneurship to me just over glamorizes the whole
mm,
thing.
mm,
And I think that's why I don't like the word.
mm. I wonder how many people would prefer to call themselves, who are business owners, an entrepreneur or a business owner.
What
Quite
would you call
interesting.
yourself?
A business owner.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah. Mm,
Yeah.
because I've not changed the world like a unicorn, sadly.
Yeah. So, but what do you think then in terms of what do you think you
Mm.
need to be to be an entrepreneur? So you
I
talk about
think
what
you
it is, but
need to be.
what would you say are the three like core um soft or hard skills you need to be, or soft skills, isn't it? Soft skills you need to have to be an entrepreneur?
Well, you say soft skills. I would imagine that really successful entrepreneurs don't have many soft skills generally, like because they're so focused on the goal.
Mm.
They're not really focused on the day to day of like people necessarily. I mean, that's a very
So when I say soft skills,
s-
so I mean
no
things
the
like
the
personality
skills.
traits.
Yeah,
So things like
yeah. So
determined or
yeah,
trustworthy,
yeah.
or
So I'm going to answer. Um,
we're
I'd
still
say
digging.
I'd say tenacious,
Tenacity.
tenacity. I'd say thick-skinned, and like I don't like the quote "thinking out the box," but they've got to think completely differently.
Hmm.
Like not accepting the rules almost. So
Yeah.
not accepting the rules. Like people that seem really successful, when you hear their stories or read their books, it becomes obvious that they haven't gone about getting to their end goal by the normal way.
Mhm.
They haven't applied for their dream job with a CV in the post or online.
Hmm.
They've knocked on there with a plate of cookies and said, "Hi there, I'm blah blah. I can do that." They've done something that
Yeah.
is not just above and beyond. It's very different,
Hmm.
and it's um, breaking trends.
Hmm.
Yeah. What would be your three?
Well, you've got to be tenacious or
Mm,
driven, whichever word you want to
mm,
use. But
Well, I
basically,
use tenacious, so
no
you
is
need
not
a
in your
new one.
vocabulary. It's the word no.
Yeah.
It just doesn't exist to you.
The
If
word
somebody
no.
presents you with a no, you smack it
Yeah.
down faster
You
than it was
don't see
built
it
up.
as a negative.
No, it's not a wall. It gets
Yeah.
smashed down quicker, or you find a
Mm,
way round, over, under, through. Doesn't matter.
mm.
You get past it. And the other one I think is there's only two for me. So being tenacious, driven, whichever word you want to use.
Not hearing no. So that's two
Well, it's
already.
kind of the same thing, isn't it?
Well,
Tenacity,
I
me,
suppose.
it's all the same thing. It's just
Mm,
how you package it up.
mm.
But the other one for me is being able to be comfortable in taking huge risks.
Yes.
So I saw a post the other day
Mm.
where somebody
Yeah,
had
that's a
interviewed
big one.
Richard Branson, and I think he summed it up perfectly.
Mm.
And he said, if you're not prepared to lose 100 million, you
Mm.
will never make a billion. And I think that's true, right? Because
Mm.
yeah, all you ever hear of is huge risks. I mean, I saw again
Mm.
another post a couple of weeks ago where it had these entrepreneurs, mega successful people,
Mm.
and I can't remember the exact numbers, so forgive me, but it was like Apple 5 years ago lost 816 million. Now it makes 816 million a day. Uh,
Yeah.
one company, I can't remember who it was, lost
Mm.
147 billion in a day or
Mm.
something. That makes that now every
Mm.
30 minutes or something, you know?
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
this is big, huge numbers, you know?
Mm.
A lot of these entrepreneurs put everything on the
On the
line,
line.
everything.
Yeah.
And a lot of
Mm.
the time as well, they fail before they succeed.
Mm.
Not that we use the word failure much, but they learn, but
No.
the business closes and
Learn
it
from the
hasn't reached, yeah.
mistakes.
But it,
Mm.
you know, to all intents and purposes, the business closes, it fails, and they start
Mm.
something different.
Mm.
So the amount of times that they build, 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 and then get knocked down to nothing, but
Mm.
that's when that no doesn't, that just, it's not in their vocabulary. Well, I'll start again. What have I learned?
Mm.
Right, start again and go off again and
Yeah.
brush it off. Crack on.
Yeah. Because you learn so much on your journey
Yeah.
of running a business. It's insane. And the situations that you have to you don't even choose to put yourself there. The situations you are forced into,
Yeah.
you have to deal with because the book ends with you.
Mhm.
And there is no way of escaping that whatsoever.
Mhm.
And I always remember when we first set up, I had to deal with something and I was crying to you about it. And you said, look, I'm happy to do it for you, but um, if you do it, you'll it'll be much easier if you ever have to deal with that again. And I was
You probably hated me at
shaking.
the time.
No, I knew you were right. It was one of those love-hate things,
Mm.
like your parent telling you, "Go on, go to school now, good girl. You'll enjoy it once you're there." And I was shaking, but I managed to keep my cool, and it got the result I want, and it was great,
Mm.
and it was fine. And these situations, I don't know the statistics, isn't it? 89% of scared situations are never as bad as what you think they're going to
Oh
be.
yeah, yeah. You
And
always
I
build it up
think
to be worse
you
in your head.
really, really learn that. And all of a sudden you start, knocking down these walls a lot quicker.
Mhm.
Um, so for me, it's really scary and it's very ups and downs emotionally running a business. But every day is different. It's exciting. It keeps you on your toes. And it is really rewarding to look back and see what you've had to go through and grow as a person because it does make you reflect on yourself.
So I answer the question.
Mm.
You answer it honestly. There's no right or wrong answer here.
Mm.
Knowing what you know now,
Mm.
how tough it is,
Mm.
would you start in business? If you hadn't started in business, but you knew everything you know now, would you start a business?
I think it's an easier life to work for somebody else,
Right.
but I think I would get bored because I've always felt bored
Hmm.
in my previous roles. Um, so I think I would need to work for myself
Hmm.
because you're involved in everything and you've got real passion and drive naturally. I mean, with a job working for somebody else, you've got more like job security as such. But I tend to get bored easily, so I'm not
Hmm.
sure. Oh, it would have to be very stimulating for me or something I was really, really passionate about. But I would, as you've said all the time, I'm a bit of a control freak now. So,
Yeah, you are a control freak now. We've changed. I used to be the control freak, and now I
yeah.
feel like we are slowly
Mm,
becoming each other.
so, yeah. So,
So yeah,
there's pros
interesting
and
how,
cons.
as we say,
Mm,
that entrepreneur
mm,
has
mm,
its definition in the Oxford Dictionary, and
mm,
yet I have a slightly different
mm,
perspective on it. You do,
yeah.
other people do as well, as we
Mm,
spoke about earlier.
mm,
So, and it's yeah. I mean, you mentioned as well. We've been watching this new series, Apple Cider Vinegar. If you
mm,
haven't watched it,
oh,
if you like true stories, you've got to watch it. It's
mm,
really, really good. And I'm not going to give too
mm,
much away, in case you haven't seen it and you're going to. But again, seeing these people on these programs, they don't take no for an answer.
mm,
It becomes that their goal, whatever that goal is, becomes all consuming.
yeah.
And
Their family goes to the
that's, I
side.
mean, it's even their kids, their
Yeah,
partners, their
it's
parents. It's
totally
like,
pushed to the side. It's just
I
tunnel
can't
vision.
concentrate on that. I've got to concentrate on my goal, on my
Yeah.
goal, on my goal.
Mm,
Uh, so that's really interesting to me
mm.
because I don't see how people can do that. I
Well,
want to
I
be successful, but not at the cost of, to me, that is at the cost of my family.
yeah,
To me, I'm doing it for my family.
yeah,
So they should be coming along with me on that journey,
mm,
not putting them to one side so they're not involved. I mean, I'm
mm,
not saying that's right or wrong. That's just my opinion on it.
I think
Um,
to be the ultra successful, I think that does have to happen though, doesn't it?
hmm,
Naturally. You know, emotionally, your family takes so much time, but like enjoyable time, but you know, you do worry about your children. You've got to be there for your spouse and it's a hard balance.
hmm,
It is an interesting one.
yeah.
It's that life work balance, isn't it? That everyone's always striving for.
I don't think there is a work-life balance, and I think that people are made to feel guilty if they haven't got this work-life balance. I think it just
Well,
depends where you are in your journey at that time.
yeah, well, I was going to say, you said a long time ago that people make you feel guilty for not switching off from work.
Hmm.
But why is that seen as such a
Yeah, what
negative?
if I enjoy it?
Because you do really enjoy,
Yeah,
you love problem solving. As soon as I come back and I'm saying, oh, I spoke to Harry at blah, blah, like manufacturing or whatever, and they're having troubles with this, that, and the other. And you were like, well, they could do this. Then why can't they do this? How about this? Oh, why don't you mention this? And you'll go on for a good half an hour, and I'm like, Jesus
shut
Christ,
up.
it's not your business. Like, but you really do enjoy that. That's where I
Yeah.
see the entrepreneurship personally, because you're really enjoying that,
Hmm.
and it's coming naturally to you.
Hmm.
Whereas I'd just be like, oh, that's a shame. Have you tried X, Y, Z? Oh,
Hmm.
I don't know. It's just seen totally differently.
Yeah.
Like, so that's what I see as like truth forward thinking, really.
Right.
Mm.
Hmm. So yeah, I think we're pretty much exhausted that subject
Yeah, I think before we fall out once more on camera,
on camera. There'll be actual
we uh,
fights, wouldn't there?
we should call it a day.
Probably, yeah. We should take this offline.
Yes, let's take this off.
Are you
Yeah.
on mute? You're on mute. Oh, flipping out all them phrases. Let's take that offline.
Yes.
Let's get an aerial view of the situation. I mean, it's all management talk, isn't it? I
Yeah.
used to hate that. We used to sit in meetings. Oh my God. I'm
Mm.
very much a guy where I can't stand
Mm.
a meetings for meeting's sake. Point
Mm.
one. Point two, I can't stand people that talk out their arseholes and mention these really like managerial type talk just to
Mm.
make other people feel inferior. Can't
Mm.
flipping stand it. I
Mm.
have a rule now at our place.
Yeah.
No meeting lasts more than an hour,
Mm.
maximum.
Mm.
And you know what? No, was it Elon Musk? No, Gary V has a
Oh
rule.
yeah.
If you're not adding value to a meeting, walk out.
Yeah.
I think that's great because honestly,
Mm.
I think businesses, large organizations more so, because
Mm.
where I used to work for was a huge business, they get consumed by meeting. It's like, let's
Mm.
have a meeting about the
Yeah.
meeting to discuss the meeting that's coming up for the
Yeah.
meeting that we've got next week.
Yeah.
What?
In our meetings though, now, like, well, you've always had the rule of an hour, but my talking probably gets faster and faster. So it's probably
Oh, yeah.
normal like this in the first hour, and then at the near the end, you're like, so we've got 5 minutes left, and then I'll be talking like this, and then okay, so if we do that on the Friday, then we can do that on the Saturday, and then I think that'd be really good.
Let's have another meeting 10 minutes later so I don't go over the hour and then I'll start a new one. Yeah.
Let's have a second meeting in 5 minutes time.
Yeah. So,
But no, it's a really good rule because I think you're more disciplined with your time. And
yeah.
again, I think that's an entrepreneurial way of thinking.
Yeah.
Just all these little
No, I don't
things
know.
that like naturally make a business flow better. That in hindsight seem obvious, but so many people don't
Hmm.
do. Like that's not happened in any of the businesses I've worked in, and we've certainly had loads of meetings for meeting's sake, which I've really enjoyed with a cup of tea and some biscuits.
Yeah. Well, I'm not quite finished, actually. Can we extend this for another
What did
hour?
you say you were doing at the weekend then, Tracy?
But we've got a long one tomorrow, haven't we? Because we've got we've got a team day. We're quite
Well, yeah,
excited
so we've
about that.
both been preparing for that a little bit, haven't we? So yeah, really looking forward to that actually. We should do a little we should do a pod on that actually. Um you know,
What?
just the importance really of having like a team meeting about where your goals are, where you want to be headed because we're having these weekly meetings privately.
Yeah.
Um we want to share with the team what we've been discussing and
Well, don't give
stuff.
too much away then. If we're going to
So,
do a podcast on it, why don't you put it in your
should we
to-do
have a
list?
meeting about
No, fuck
about
off.
the
Let's take it offline. But Put it in your to-do list now. Me and Helen have started using a shared to-do
It
list.
is
And
actually I'm
actually, to be
loving it.
fair, Helen normally, I've got to give credit where credit's due. Normally for Helen, when we implement these things, that goes in this year and comes straight out of that year, and woo, she's off, and then figured out her own way of doing it. But
Mm.
as I say, credit where credit's due. We implemented a new shared to-do system where we can all access each other's, assign tasks, and all that sort of stuff. And Helen is sticking with it, which is fantastic. So add it in there now because she said, I've got to do it while I'm thinking about it, or it goes.
There we
So
go.
I'm sorry, folks, if you're watching this.
It's
Lift
very rude
music.
of me. Get that lift music back on.
Greensleeves. That's always a standard one, isn't it? Um, when you go on hold on your coffee, it was Greensleeves.
Oh, has
Yeah,
it got an actual name? What
but
the
it used to be.
dun, 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 dun,
Why'd you go back to
ah,
singing again?
dun.
Every podcast to you comes back to singing. Honestly, Helen, you're not going to make it in the flipping singing world.
Simon Cowell,
You are
I'm
not a pop.
here.
You're not a pop star. You don't sound like a pop star. You don't look like a. That's my awful attempt at an Irish accent. I don't
You
know
look
why I
like a
bother.
pop star. You sound like a pop star.
You're just as bad as me, but at least I admit it. You think you're good, like you're singing.
I know I'm good.
Oh, just getting cringy now, isn't
No,
it?
I do.
You've got to
I
stop.
do know I can't
You've
sing. I
got to
just
stop.
find it hilarious.
You've got to stop. We're trying to gain listeners, not lose listeners.
Uh,
So I think that's it for this week then.
mm,
I'm going to take my
yeah.
fat whale self off. I'm going to go and cut my hair, have a shave,
Oh,
do all the good things ready for tomorrow.
and I'm going to take my curly Sue hippo self off also.
No. So thank you everyone for listening. We really appreciate it, as always.
Yes.
Next one then, we're going to make a rule to talk about team meetings and including the team and all that sort of stuff. And how,
Yeah.
actually, maybe give some hints and tips on how you can do that.
Well, and things that we've put in place that have really improved our day to day,
Yeah,
like our to-do list.
Well, maybe that's another podcast.
Oh, yeah. Let's drag them out.
Let's try. That's what you have to do with your content and socials. Let's be honest.
True.
So have a
Yeah.
great day, everyone.
Yep. Thank you
Thank you
for listening.
and we'll see you next time.
Have a great week.
Bye.
Bye.